Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. Today is a day off for me because federal holiday. Indigenous Peoples Day. And thank you, federal government. Maybe the state, I don't know, whatever. And I finished The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Actually, I finished this yesterday. Anyway, I bought it 2 weeks ago, played it over the course of about 30 hours, and had a frickin' blast. This game is what I wish Tears of the Kingdom was. Unfortunately, Tears of the Kingdom was kind of the boring slog that it was. I mean, I enjoyed playing it, but it became super repetitive and annoying. And wasn't very interesting. This game, on the other hand, was fantastic. There's some like quality of life stuff I wish was different, but it's kind of more like the standard Nintendo quality of life, where if you want to go there, there's some crafting in this, and if you want to do the crafting, it's like 25 button presses. You got to select a thing, and then you got to work through some dialogue, and then you make the thing, and you go, I made the thing, and then it takes like a minute every time you want to make something. That's frustrating. It's really annoying. But other than that, and some, once you start getting a whole bunch of the echoes or whatever they're called, it becomes kind of annoying to try to find what you're looking for in that list. But there's not really, I think they handled it very well. This game was phenomenal. It is definitely I want to say a dumbed down version of Zelda, but that's not necessarily the case. It is an adventure game with some mild puzzle solving, a little bit of combat, but for the most part of the game, you just kind of ignore the combat. If you're not aware, Zelda is the main character of this game. She gets her own title, and she's a great main character, and her ability in this game is that she can create objects. So you can walk up to a lot of objects in this game, or monsters. You can learn how to create them, and then you can just clone them. There's a limit to your ability, and you can level that limit up as you play the game. So you can't just like spam hundreds of things, but later on you can get 4 or 5 things out on the map. And so when you're walking around and something comes to attack you, you just spawn some minions and they kill it for you, and you just go about your business. So combat's not super important. The puzzling is not super important. It's just kind of a cozy, enjoyable game. You get to use all of these various objects that you find throughout the game to create interesting solutions to puzzles. The puzzles are more like figuring out how to get past a waterfall, figuring out how to get across a gap, figuring out how to deal with, enemies across the... It's not necessarily Zelda-ish, like traditional Zelda-ish puzzles where you're wandering around an area trying to find the last key you need to unlock the door, but you've already visited every place and there's a statue you have to pull on. It's all pretty obvious stuff, but it's very enjoyable. It's super enjoyable. And so the reason that I say this is better than Tears of the Kingdom is because the puzzles don't repeat very often. Generally, you go into an area, there's something that you need to do with an echo. They'll present that echo or an object to you so that you have an understanding of like, well, maybe that's a hint. Maybe I should be using that thing. You don't have to. You could probably solve the puzzle in a few different ways. And then you do the thing. And there's not a whole lot of repetition. So all the puzzles feel fun and unique, and all the maps feel fun and unique. Whereas with Tears, you had like your basic combination of things that you would use, and it was just the same thing over and over and over and over again. I never felt like I walked into a space in this game and went, ugh, right? Each area of the map, you have your standard villages, you have the Deku Forest and mountain, and there's this kind of the Zora domain and the Gerudo Desert. There's like this standard areas, but you don't spend ridiculous amounts of time in there doing the same thing over and over again. You kind of go in there, do their little temple, they're not really temples, doing their little thing, and then leaving and going somewhere else. And then you can go back and do side quests. That's another thing. There's lots of side quests. I had a blast. I did every side quest I could find, which is maybe all of them, because I double checked every single area right before I finished the final boss. And I had a really good time doing side quests. They're mostly fetch quests or deliver quests, or some interesting little ideas around the crafting mechanic or the carrying mechanic. That's the other thing you can do. You can pick up just about anything with your little helper. You don't have a fairy helping you. You have a little Triforce being called Tri helping you. And Tri can like grab onto things, and then you can move that thing around. Almost anything, including enemies. Like enemies that are attacking you, you can just pick them up and hold on to them, and they just sit there. And you use that a lot. Sometimes you can use that to drop enemies into lava or drop them off the map or whatever. It's just fun. It was a very fun game with a really cool story. That's an interesting thing to say about a Zelda game. I thought it had a very fun story. New boss, a new big bad, which was a very interesting choice. And yeah, I mean, it was a very cool game. I very much enjoyed it. I spent maybe around 30 hours on it over the last 2 weeks, and had a wonderful time playing it. And I hope that we get some future installments of a Princess Zelda, game where we get to kind of build on this a little bit, because I felt like I can't even really say it's a complaint. It's definitely more of a cozy, chill game. I think that they could have upped the difficulty of the puzzles a little bit and it not hurt. The puzzles were all pretty obvious. Like you just go, oh, okay. Every now and then I'd get an area, or there would be a boss, or I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. And just take some fiddling to figure it out. But for the most part, it's pretty obvious what you're supposed to do. But as a player, I don't mind that. It makes me feel clever when I walk into an area for the first time and go, oh, I know what I need to do. And I get to have that little feeling of, I'm a clever person. I did the thing. But I think there could have been more instances where I was confused and I would still be okay with it. I gave it 9.5 stars for that quality of life nonsense that Nintendo always does. Like I said, making the potions in this game. Also, you fight a fake boss early in the game, and it's a really frustrating fight. Like, it's way harder than the last fight. It's way more annoying, and you're just kind of new to the game, and you're trying to figure out how to fight this fake boss. It was frustrating. It was very frustrating. But it took me 2 or 3 attempts, and I got it, but in a weird, kind of almost cheatery way. It didn't feel satisfying. It just felt annoying. Did you play it? Are you going to play it? What do you think? Thoughts? All that stuff? Put it in the comments. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day off. My kid's coming over tonight. Got some dinner with family. Fun night. Easy time. Going to do some reading. Back to books. I haven't been reading a whole lot lately, but I think we'll have a couple to talk about. So maybe this week we'll talk about books. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I will see you again tomorrow. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We are learning 10 habits you must quit to be happy. Number 7. Quit running from your problems and fears. Trust us, if everyone threw their problems in a pile for you to see, you would probably grab yours back. The best approach is to face them head on, no matter how insurmountable they may seem. Fears, in particular, stop you from taking chances and making decisions. Take them on, one small step at a time. Own them so they can't own you. Yes. Good Lord, yes. And I think this ties into... Didn't we talk about... No, we haven't talked about that yet. This ties into learning that failure is a good thing. Learning that failure is a part of growth and learning helps you stop running away from fears, because if you confront them and you fail, that's fine, because you'll have learned. And that's a super important part to growth.